was born into one of the most powerful families in the world. The story of his life is one of luxury, intrigue, scandal, and tragedy, from a wild childhood to a string of high-profile affairs with Hollywood stars and royalty. The young rake definitely left a wake of burnt money and bridges behind him. It's hard to imagine the mind-blowing power that Prince Ali was born into in 1911. His father, Aga Khan III, was the spiritual leader to millions of people. The mantle is part of a 1,000-year tradition and came with a lot of influence, wealth, and lands. As it turns out, such a life comes with perks and pitfalls. As the Aga Khan's son, Prince Ali lived in utter luxury. One of the biggest family holdings was a world-class stable of thoroughbred horses, and the prince spent his youth in luxurious residences all over England, India, and France. In other words, he wanted for nothing. However, for the young prince, it wasn't all fun and games. With such an important position, Khan's father traveled constantly. Meanwhile, his Italian mother spent her days working as an artist, and her nights entertaining as a socialite, throwing wild parties. As a result, the young Ali grew up rather lonely. Maybe that explains his unhealthy need for another kind of affection. Right out of the gate of his adolescence, Prince Ali was a hit with the ladies. Before he was in his mid-20s, he had a number of high-profile conquests, including the debutante Margaret Wigham. His most salacious bedmate, though, was Thelma, of his Countess, Furness, a lover he just so happened to share with the Prince of Wales himself, Edward VIII, and bigger scandals were in his future. In 1933, the young man found himself head over heels for Joan Yard-Buller, an English socialite and the wife of Thomas Guinness, heir to the Guinness Empire. When Ali first met the beautiful Joan at a dinner party, he was reportedly so taken with her, he leaned over and said, "Darling, will you marry me?" When Joan informed him that she was already married, Prince Ali took Joan's marital status as a mere challenge. He threw himself into courting her, sending her bouquets of flowers and secret messages until she finally caved and agreed to meet him in clandestine rendezvous. Well, once Joan was in, she was really in. Before long, they were in a full-on esteemy affair. It did not go well. Shortly after it began, Thomas Guinness found out what was going on between the prince and his wife, and he found out in the worst way possible. He had evidence that the two lovers had spent 3 days in a hotel room together. Plus, there was the fact that Joan confessed it all to him and begged him to split up. After that, Guinness was out for blood. Guinness took his bedroom issues to the public courts, filing for divorce from Joan, and suing Prince Ali to pay all the costs associated with the high-profile split. The messy socialite drama was front-page news at the time, and it ended in a slam dunk for Guinness. The judge ordered Khan to empty his pockets, and Joan was a free woman. At 26, Khan qualified for a pilot's license and began to fly his own planes regularly. He also raced horses, cars, and skied. These were not passive hobbies for the prince either. Instead, he pushed himself to the limit, so much so that he broke his leg 3 times on the slopes and almost perished in car races. Maybe it's this daredevil spirit that recommended him for his next job. During World War II, Khan joined the British intelligence and served as a spy in the Middle East. His mixed background and position of prestige provided him with the perfect cover. But he had one huge flaw. As his commanding officer put it, "The only risk I ran in having him on my team was that he was irresistible to women, could not leave them alone." And, well, he certainly didn't. The still-married Khan went on another whirlwind bedroom campaign, often romancing 3 or 4 different women at a time. His boudoir reputation quickly became international news, and Prince Ali Khan turned into a household name in the West. In fact, the film director Orson Welles once referred to him as the most promiscuous man in Europe. Yet, as you likely expect, he was covering up a secret. In truth, deep insecurity drove Prince Ali's indiscretions and vengeance. When his commanding officer asked him one day why he chased women, he confessed it was because Western men discriminated against him because of his race. So, as he put it, I paid them out by winning all of their desirable women, and the insecurity didn't end there. Despite their passionate beginnings, Prince Ali's bitterness seeped into his marriage with Joan Yard Buller. The prince became more and more convinced that Joan's hoity-toity English aristocrat friends looked down on him. This, as well as his full-andering, drove a deeper wedge between them. As much as Khan loved the ladies loved Khan. His looks, charm, and bedroom talent made him a bit of a conquest for women, and not just any woman. Prince Ali had a noted type, respectable society ladies who he liked to chase down ruthlessly, no matter the cost or how many enemies it made him. And his next target was a big one. Starting in the late 1940s, Prince Ali became obsessed with the Hollywood love goddess Rita Hayworth. When her blockbuster film, Guild, came out in 1948, Khan watched it and fell in love at first frame, especially during Hayworth's famous Put the Blame on the Main performance. He replayed it again and again and swore he would have none but her. And whatever the prince wants, the prince gets, it would seem. Prince Ali got a lucky break. He found out that Hayworth was traveling to Europe at the very moment. His friend, a gossip columnist, Alison Maxwell, swore that she would throw an enormous party, see him next to the starlet, and stage an introduction. The prince was ecstatic to display all his skills of seduction to the screen siren, but he may not have realized how much Rita had been through. When Prince Ali met Hayworth, she had just ended her marriage with the director Orson Welles, with whom she had a young daughter, and she was utterly heartbroken and depressed. She had even been thinking of leaving Europe early. Until that is, Ella Maxwell invited her out to a big bash. Although some sources claim Hayworth wasn't instantly into Prince Ali Khan, one pattern that's been made clear is his perseverance. By the end of the night, they went home together to his place at the Château de l'Horizon, with Hayworth only returning to her hotel in the wee hours of the morning. Their flame was on. Though Khan was confident Hayworth was no easy catch, as the prince pursued the noir as tarlet, so did others such as the Shah of Iran and Aristotle Onassis, one of the richest men in the world and the man who later married Jackie Kennedy. For some reason, Hayworth ignored them and fell into Khan's arms. In the beginning, Hayworth and Khan lived in a bubble of new love. In fact, it got mystical. According to Lord, one day a fortune-teller arrived at Hayworth's hotel and insisted on seeing her. She told the starlet that she was about to embark on the greatest romance of her life, and that if she gave in totally, she would find happiness at long last. As all-consuming and passionate as Prince Ali's affair with Hayworth was, there were two huge problems. First, he was still very much married to Joan Yard Buller. Second, Hayworth's high-profile status made their fling front-page news across the world, throwing Prince Ali's sordid personal life into print yet again. And then his family butted their heads in. The Aga Khan deeply disapproved of his son's new obsession. The spiritual leader had more than a few affairs in his own youth, but he was mortified at the negative press the story was generating and the way it exposed the immorality at the center of his clan. He pushed Prince Ali to break it off with Hayworth. And just as things were really getting out of hand with the press, Rita Hayworth got pregnant. Even more scandalously, Hayworth decided to keep the child. To his sort of credit, the prince stuck to her side and committed himself to the relationship, silencing all his father's faults, except that it meant another divorce trial. Prince Ali was passionately in love with Hayworth at the time, and poor Joan Yard Buller saved the last of her dignity by trying to make a quiet exit from the whole mess. But she did get one revenge. Although she left without much of a peep to the press, Joan took the prince for a whole lot of money, securing herself a comfortable life post-Khan. The promiscuous Khan seemed completely meh about the disintegration of his first marriage. In fact, he planned his second marriage to Hayworth's for just a couple of weeks after his divorce to Joan. Sound familiar? He also lavished Hayworth with gifts, including a $150,000 diamond necklace leading up to the wedding. As for Hayworth, before her nuked tools, Hayworth started to feel uneasy. After all, Khan's reputation wasn't stellar. To add insult to injury, many of the Princess Nobby friends looked down on her for being a mere Hollywood star, while her own friends didn't think she had a chance in heaven to turn Khan into a loyal husband. So Hayworth struck out in a desperate way. Hayworth was so uncertain about her impending royal marriage that she actually telegrammed her ex-husband, Orson Welles, begging him to come see her because of an emergency. She was so beside herself, Welles even wrote on the back of a cargo plane to get to her as quickly as possible. But when he opened the door to her hotel, he saw a desperate sight. Hayworth met Welles at her door, dressed head to toe in lingerie, with candles and champagne completing the atmosphere behind her. "Here I am," Hayworth breathily told her ex. "Marry me." It was in defiance of all her loyalty to Prince Ali. Although Welles could see Hayworth was utterly unhappy, he saw no choice but to decline her offer. More than that, he also encouraged her to go through with marrying Prince Ali, believing that the situation was too far gone to stop. Even so, Welles later recalled that it was just the worst marriage that ever could have happened, and she knew it. Sadly, Hayworth didn't listen to her gut. There was a rot at the center of Prince Ali's relationship, but you'd never know it by his exquisite confection of a wedding. The two-day affair took place on May 27th and 28th in 1949, where guests drank hundreds and hundreds of bottles of champagne and 8 pounds of caviar beside a swimming pool filled with gallons of cologne. To complete the picture, Hayworth cut her wedding cake with a glass sword, and then scores of the Aga Khan's followers kissed her feet. On December 28th in 1949, Hayworth gave birth to her child with the prince, a daughter they named Yasmin. The little babe's full official title was Princess Yasmin Aga Khan. Both Hayworth and Prince Ali doted on their girl, and for a brief time, it seemed like they were going to make it. Just kidding, it didn't seem like that at all. As the years passed, the Aga Khan's hesitant approval of his son's marriage and his son soon soured. Child or not, Prince Ali continued to womanize and gamble, while the Aga Khan felt that Hayworth was only in the union for peace and entertainment, not duty or love. Eventually, the supreme ruler confronted his son and gave him an ultimatum. While Khan fulfilled his diplomatic duties, he also found time to mix business with pleasure. He spent much of his off time on the trip, in the company of other women and away from his wife, so it should have been no surprise when, after one carousing evening, he returned back to their hotel to find Rita's bags packed. She left him and returned to the States immediately, but it wasn't the end of their drama. After their disastrous trip, you might expect Khan to make an effort to save his marriage. Instead, in 1951, the prince danced with another major Hollywood starlet, Joan Fontaine. In the very same club he and Hayworth had met, it was the final straw. When she found out, Hayworth officially filed for divorce under the grounds of extreme cruelty, and that cruelty kept on coming. Before his marriage with Hayworth even came to an end, Prince Ali had his sights set on yet another woman, another Hollywood star in fact, the beautiful Jean Turney. Kane and Turney met in Argentina while she was filming a movie, and he was scouting racehorses, and their romance began shortly after. Somehow, it was his messiest alliance yet. Tierney was desperately in love, so when she and Prince Ali got engaged in 1952, she went right out and told the press it was a fatal mistake. As a future spiritual leader, Ali absolutely needed to get permission from his father to marry. Well, the Khan didn't want another attention-seeking starlet in his life, and he turned his son down flat. Ali's reaction was not good. Prince Ali wasn't a man to give up on a beautiful woman, so instead of offering Jian Turney marriage, he had a much more indecent proposal. She could simply become his mistress. Tierney, already on the verge of a mental illness, inevitably exploded on the sleazy prince, engaging in several screaming matches with him around Paris. This didn't go well for her either. Fed up with Tierney's tears, the rake simply opted and left her in a Paris hotel. Shortly after, Tierney had a bona fide breakdown and returned to America, where her family admitted her into a mental institution for over a year. Ali still had one loose end from his second marriage, his daughter Yasmin. Although Hayworth had custody and was currently raising Yasmin in the Catholic faith, the prince was set on making her a Muslim. In a bid to convince Hayworth to bend his demands, he offered his ex-wife a literal $1 million. Hayworth turned him down. During the fallout of her marriage to the prince, Hayworth started to develop chilling beliefs. As the Khan himself put it, Miss Hayworth somehow got it into her head that either Ali or I myself might try to take her daughter away from her. Indeed, kidnap the child. Of course, the powerful family denied Hayworth's fears as delusions, but Prince Ali's dramatic divorce from Hayworth once more became a press firestorm, and everyone was struggling to get snaps of their daughter Yasmin in particular. One day, a prime reporter crept into the house where Yasmin was staying with a caretaker, hoping to catch the heat score in a candid moment. What he discovered shocked him. Inside, the photographer found Yasmin and her half-sister, Rebecca, living in horrible conditions. The caretaker's house was dirty, and garbage covered the property, but that wasn't even the worst part. Later on, people discovered where Hayworth had been all this time, on a romantic getaway with her newest lover. Needless to say, the prince was not happy. With this kind of bad press following Prince Ali around, the Aga Khan wasn't just disappointed anymore, he was darn near ruined. Soon enough, people within Khan's community began demanding that he abdicate, and the ruler had to call a special council to threaten excommunication to the malcontents and squash the crisis. After his fling with tyranny, Khan found himself with another high-class partner, Bettina Graziani, a gorgeous model hung out with the likes of Ernest Hemingway, Lauren Bacall, and Humphrey Bogart. In a now familiar story, Graziani left her screenwriter boyfriend to her, and to run off with Khan, who convinced her to leave her career and settle down. Khan had a taste for blood. Even when it came to hunting, the prince decided to do things in excess. As a young man, Khan went on hunting expeditions and bagged about 20 leopards and panthers, 7 tigers, and 3 lions. Of course, that simply wasn't enough for the prince either. Unlike many others, he did this all on foot. Like his father, Khan was a huge fan of horse racing. He rode from a very young age and, when he could, began to race third of red horses himself. Though his second wife, Rita Hayworth, wasn't really into equine pursuits, she joined his club and bought a filly anyway. The horse went on to place second in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, one of France's most prestigious races. According to world-class trainers, Khan was one of the best horse breeders in the world. In fact, it's likely that he could have made a career in horses alone. Champion trainer Noel Merles once said that it is probably fair to say that with his experience of international racing, he was the best judge of collateral form in the world. Before his time as a spy, the young prince decided that he needed a little adventure in his life and joined the French Foreign Legion. The Foreign Legion is France's most infamous military unit, which accepts entrants with foreign nationalities. For most of World War II, Khan served as a legionnaire in Egypt and the Middle East. At a certain point, Khan joined the British cavalry, a fitting place given his experience on horseback. During his military career, Khan participated in the Allied invasion of German-occupied France. It seems that here he found a healthy outlet for his love of danger and daring, and he received a colorful array of medals, including the Croix de Guerre. Of course, all this German drag had to reach a breaking point, and what a breaking point it was. Much to Prince Ali's dismay, his father joked him a cruel betrayal. Before the end of his life, the Aga Khan rewrote his will. In it, he decided to pass his title down to his grandson rather than his troublesome son for the first time in history. And it got more embarrassing than that. The denial of Prince Ali's inheritance was a very public event. After the Aga Khan passed in 1957, aides called press conference, complete with a lawful of people and journalists, to read out the ruler's last will and testament. So Prince Ali Khan found out about his father's colossal snub at the same time as the rest of the world. A permanent humiliation. Prodigal son that he may have been, the Aga Khan's decision still hurt Prince Ali tremendously. According to his fiancée, Bettina Graziani, the prince was never quite the same after his father's announcement, and he felt the whole press circus was a public humiliation for his sins. Prince's future wasn't all bad for a bit. In 1958, soon after his father's passing, Pakistan appointed Ali as an ambassador to the United Nations. More than that, his girlfriend Bettina became his fiancée, and she was also nearly pregnant. For a brief moment, it seemed that everything was looking up. In May 1960, Prince Ali was in France on United Nations business with his fiancée Bettina. As was his way, he found a little time for pleasure, and the pair were en route to a party. The prince was behind the wheel on the narrow European roads with the chauffeur riding in the back. Then, suddenly and without warning, he crashed headfirst into another vehicle. The prince sustained devastating injuries at the scene of the crash, and workers rushed him to the hospital to try and save him. It only ended in tragedy. Prince Ali Khan, the Lothario of the 20th century, lost all the vim and vigor of his life that evening, passing almost immediately upon arrival at the age of 48. Yet even then, there was one more heartache to come. By some miracle, Prince Ali's fiancée Bettina managed to survive the accident with only minor injuries. Still, this could not have helped her sorrow. Although her body was physically fine, the shock of the crash caused her to miscarry her and the prince's unborn child. It was a final tragic closing to Ali's drama-filled life. If you enjoyed this fact in a video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more incredible stories. Want to say in who we cover next? Join our membership program through the link in the description for exclusive perks. Your support means everything to us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.